But I was whatever, however old I was, and she was saying, no, don't do that. But I said, hey, do you know this guy that is with you? I said, man, I said, is he talk weird or something? I can't remember what I said to her. I said, he's kind of talking about what he's, I think I said what he said, or she said, I don't know. He ain't never said nothing like that. So she just like dismissed it as like nothing. So he come down the car and he goes, oh, what are you two talking about? He changed back into like street clothes. For somewhere along the line, he had his clothes on up. I don't know. I think they had a lock. I don't think they had a locker room under the stands. Anyway, he changed into his street clothes, came down the car, and I was like, I kind of changed the subject matter and said I was trying to, or I don't know if I said I was trying to hit on her or whatever. I didn't know how to hit it on them. Still don't. But anyway, they took off, and I don't know. Somebody said later that somebody went missing or murdered in Des Moines, and I don't know. I think I was looking at the dates, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure if he was. This was when he was had been escaped from a jail out in Washington or something like that. Because I was looking at dates trying to figure out when he was there. Well, anyway, that's another guy. Then there's another guy. It was at my grandmother's house here in Des Moines, and for some reason I went by. I was going by the house, driving by this, and I drove by the house, and I stopped. I seen the Oklahoma. Was it Oklahoma or Virginia? It was out of state license plates on that brown car, four-door brown car. I don't know why they all had. It's all like they just pass around the car and say, here, you're the next serial killer. Here's the car that we use. I don't know what it is with these brown cars, these four-door long Imperials or whatever they are, Chrysler. I don't know. But they're big freaking four-door brown cars. They all drive the same freaking thing, or similar. Anyway, so this guy, oh man, what's his name? He was out of Virginia. He killed a bunch of women, had necrophilia. He was gay with another. He was him and his partner in crime. Dang, what's his name? He had. I don't know if they killed him or if he's still around. But anyway, had necrophilia with some of his women he's killed. And he was like a preacher, he's raised real religious, and his parents, like abused him or something like that. But he was I can't remember what his name was. Dang, I had all these names written down, and my phone died on me the other day and wiped out all my memory. Not my memory, the phone's memory. But he was walking around my grandma's. He was right there on her property at her front house, and she'd been in a wheelchair because she was in a wreck. She's gone now, but she's and I said, man, what is this guy doing? Is he, why is he even here at this? Why did he pick my grandmother's house? I mean, I'd ran into enough people by the time I met this guy that I think, man, this is like crazy. It's like, who are they bounding around in my family that's bringing all these freaking weirdos? So anyway, I started yelling and cussing at him, telling him to get off the property. He's like, you don't need to cuss. I was like, what? I said, you don't know anybody from around here. You ain't related to me. And I said, you need to get off the property. He said, well, and his friend was over there. And for some reason, he said something. He pointed at the guy in the car. And the guy picked up this big freaking gun, like the same kind of gun, a big revolver, like that Ted guy had on the playground. Big, giant, long-barreled, freaking, I don't know, 44 maybe, revolver. And I was like, okay, you guys are up to no good. I said, you both need to get out of here. I said, you ain't getting on this property. I said, I don't want you on this property. So anyway, they freaking left, and I was like, man, why was they hanging around my grandmother's house? Anyway, they'd gone. My grandmother lived to be like 100 or 99 or 100. Anyway, they didn't kill her. So, well, then there's I guess long before that, I was still a kid, and there was Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, came into this freaking store here in Des Moines, and this was when he was just apparently this was like in the '60s, and he said he was saying I just got kicked out of Harvard, and this is a reason. And he said, "What do you think I should do?" I said, "Okay, man, I'm like 8 years old, and you're asking me what I should do because you got kicked out of Harvard. You coming to ask an 8-year-old in a town you'd never been to." And this was in this is in a store. They got these Hy-Vee stores here. They're like grocery stores, and that's the store it was in. And he's standing at the entrance, and I'm like, I'm 8 years old, and you're asking me, being a Harvard graduate, being a professor or something, got kicked out, and for some reason you came to Des Moines, which is a flyover state. I don't know if I said a flyover. I said Des Moines, which is not like, not like a big city like New York or wherever. And you came here to ask me what you should do with your life being a Harvard grad. And I was like, anyway, he left. I don't know. I don't know, and then that was like a day, and you wake up the next day and it's like you forget all about it because, they weren't killing at the time. This was like in 68, 69, somewhere around there. I don't know, 60s were weird, man. For me, they were, for all the people I had to meet. And let's see. I'm sure there's a couple I'll forget, but there was this one, I wanted to live in Florida because of the gators and the swamps, and I was kind of into dinosaurs, trying to figure out how everything evolved from dinosaurs. So I wanted to live in when I was young. I don't know if it was because of the pneumonia, but for some reason cold always affected me more. So I always wanted to live in like Louisiana because it was warm. Didn't know anything about this before I heard about, they don't like Yankees and this and that and the other. And it depends on what kind of Yankee you are. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say anything about them because I'm sure they accept certain, it's just like every place. You don't want a certain kind of person, this, that, or the other. You don't, I'm used to this kind of friend, so this is kind of friend, anyway. But I wanted to live in Florida and stuff. So, and I listened to a bunch of Jimmy Buffett, he's saying how great it is. So anyway, I was out of work or something. This is back in like 79. No, this was back in like, about 79 or 80. And I went down to Florida looking for work because I'm going to move down. I'm going to move to the south because I always said I want to live down there where it's warm and, be around gators and all the swamps and all that stuff because I thought swamps, all that stuff hanging from trees, and it just pretty neat picturesque. Of course, I also had, I like Colorado and the mountains too. So anyway, I went down there trying to find work. I didn't find any, and I was running out of money, and I was trying to head back. Well, anyway, I was in around Miami, but I think they had just been through a hurricane. Like, again, I don't listen to the news. And there was a bunch, I didn't notice it till later, but all the street signs were down. And I was looking around this neighborhood, and there was this guy walking around, and this was in the 70s, and I was kind of not a big party hound, but anyway, I was down there, and there was this dude walking along the street. So I stopped, because I used to hitchhike and get picked up, and I used to pick up hitchhikers. This guy wasn't really hitchhiking or nothing, but he was walking, and I thought, well, maybe he wants to ride somewhere. So I stopped, and I said, hey, you want to ride? And he jumped in. He was, I don't know what he was, but he was like Middle Eastern, anyway. And I think I asked him if he had any marijuana for sale. Not that I do it now. I haven't done it I didn't really do it. I didn't do it for a whole lot, but anyway. And I was asking him, he said, oh, yeah, sure. So he said, turn down here. And by the time I got to this house where we pulled in, I was like, I had no idea. I didn't even know what town I was in. I was kind of like Easy Rider, threw away my watch and just went wherever, just wherever my thought. I said, okay, this is a neat area. I'm going to go into this area. I'm going to listen. I'm going to look at this area. Didn't really have plans. So anyway, I went down the street and I had these I had a van. I had these homemade speakers in my van, big tower speakers I had built myself with Passovers and everything like that on them. Anyway, he goes, come on inside. And so we walk in this house, and there's this tall guy standing over there and a guy in a wheelchair. And so I walk in there, and I was like, I think I took off my shoes or something because I was raised to take off the shoes before you go in the house. So apparently my mom didn't want to sweep up all the dirt. Anyway, so I take off my shoes, and they invite one guy in the wheelchair invites me, and the other guy is standing there. He has a long beard, and I can't remember how he's dressed. But anyway, I just know he was tall. I looked like a basketball player. I said, I think I asked him if he was a basketball player. And he said, oh. The guy in the wheelchair said, no. He was kind of spoke good, not good English, but he could speak English. And he was a translator for this guy, this tall guy. And he goes, I turned to him. I said, he played basketball or something? And he said, oh, he doesn't speak English. I was like, oh. He goes, you know who that is? I said, no, I don't know who it is. And he said, that's Bin Laden. And I was like, he said, he's a war hero of our country or my country or something like that. And I said, I don't know. And he started saying this, that, and the other. He fought against the Russians, and then I said, oh, wait a second, because I turned and I started looking at him. I said, I kind of recognize, after he explained who he was, a couple times, he might have said he'd met Dick Cheney and he might have won the war or something like that and he might have said something about missiles, and that might have been what triggered my thought to where I remember seeing the tall guy. It was Dick Cheney and Bin Laden. And it was on the TV news where they met to take this, I don't know, what is it, Scorpion rockets or whatever they were. Whatever rockets, surface-to-air missiles. I can't remember what they called them. I think it starts with an S. So anyway, I said, oh, yeah, he's the guy that we gave all those missiles to. And he said, yeah. And he I think Bin Laden reached out his freaking hand, his big freaking hand, and I shook it, and I don't know if he said, I don't know what happened. He started saying, I don't know if it got to saying Muslim or whatever it was, but I said, yeah, back then I was a Christian, and I'd been baptized and stuff, when I was littler, and I said, yeah, I'm a Christian, I've been baptized, and Bin Laden goes, I don't know, somewhere along the line he said the word infidel. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I had cousins, they call you an idiot or whatever. Anyway, I figure, well, it's an infidel in a different form of word. So I was like, well, whatever, take it with a grain of salt. I've been called worse. And I was talking to him, and he asked me for he goes, then he could speak English. I think he said, let me see maybe he said, maybe later. Anyway, he wanted to see my driver's license, so I gave it to him. He goes, oh, yeah, we have the same birthday. And how would he know freaking I had the same birthday as him? Another thing, anyway, he's waving this pistol around. He's yelling at the guy in the wheelchair. Now, he's being totally, polite to me. He's not yelling at me or nothing. But he's yelling at this guy in the wheelchair. Now, I think it's because they let me in this freaking house. I don't know if... Anyway, so he gave me back my license and everything, and they pulled out this freaking garbage bag, like a big tote garbage bag of freaking marijuana. He started, I said, yeah, I was gonna get some. So he pulls out a big thing of marijuana. He gives me I don't know, half ounce or something like that. He just takes a handful, throws it in a bag. He goes, here. I think I gave him I said, oh man, I only got $8 or $9. He said, here, take it. I was like, you sure this much? Anyway, so I ended up with that. Bin Laden's yelling at him, waving a pistol around. And it's another pistol being waved around. I thought, hey, man, can I look at that pistol? No, no. He's like, no, no, no. Or something like that. No, you can't have. And I was asking him, I think I asked him what kind it was. And I think he could speak a little English, I think, or he was the translator. I can't remember. But this was in like 80, was this 79 or 80, 81? 81? Might have been 81. No, might have been 82. Anyway, right around in there. I can't remember what it was. But I think they had just been through a hurricane, whatever. Anyway, so I couldn't remember his name. Then I left and I took this guy down to some bar. And I think it was that bar that all those people got shot in later. In like, it was a, it was a big tall, no, I don't know, it was a bar, what do they call, where a bunch of people, different kind of music. Wasn't like a tavern where, a bunch of people go and sit around a bar. It was like a dance place, but, they served drinks. Back then it wasn't disco though. Anyway, so I took that one guy that I picked up, and it took me to the house, took him to a place, and I'd never seen him again. I couldn't remember Bin Laden's name. And anyway, I ended up hitchhiking out of there because I ran out of freaking money. Was hitchhiking out of there, and I was clear up in the panhandle of Florida, hitchhiking on I-10. And this guy picks me up, again, a big brown four-door, and I looked on the back, and it was California plates, and I think I heard on the news as I was driving around Florida that there was some people out in California killing, the highway killers. So I was like, wow, California, and one of these brown freaking long four-door cars. And I was like, well, this is going to be good. So I get in. There's two other guys, and there's one in the back seat and one in the passenger seat, and then the driver's. I can't remember. I think the first thing I said is that, I see you got California plates. You ain't that serial killer they're looking for out in California. He goes, oh, no, no, no. He goes, somewhere along the line, he goes, where are you from? I said, Iowa. He said, oh. He said, so he pulled out this, like, little, one of those little, 3x4 spiral notebooks, the ones you can put in your pocket on your shirt. He pulls it out. I goes, what are you doing? He goes, I just like writing down all the people that I pick up. I said, what do you, is that what you're doing what are you doing out here in Florida if you're from California? Picking up, he goes, I like driving around picking up hitchhikers. I said, in freaking Florida? You're from California? You drove clear? He said, I like doing it. I was like, whatever, dude. And so he goes, I already have somebody I picked up from Iowa. I said, well, okay. I said, well, circle it or something. And I think he circled. Well, anyway, that was that freaking highway killer, because if you notice on the freaking anything that has about the highway killer, he wrote down all the people, the states that he had killed. Well, I told him to circle that. So anyway, I'm cruising with these two guys, and they weren't saying nothing. I said, anybody mind if I smoke? And they was all like, no. I figured they was like cigarette. Well, I had a bowl. I lit up a bowl, and they were like, whoa, he's lighting up. Anyway, so we're cruising down I-10. This got turned into night, and I passed out. I didn't pass out. I fell asleep. And because nobody was talking, and I tried to talk up a conversation. Nobody wanted to talk. It was like they was all just silenced for some reason. And I figured they were college students hitchhiking or something. Well, anyway, I woke up. The guy that was sitting in the back seat next to me, he was out. He was gone. I don't know if they had dropped him off earlier or what. Well, nobody's in the front seat, and I woke up. I think it was a guy yelling. He said, hey, wake up, wake up. And they was like to the right. I looked out the window to the right, and this was nighttime. And I looked over to the right, and it was probably 50 meters away, 50 to 100 meters. It wasn't a football field, maybe half a football field or something like that. And the driver was out there with the freaking, this other guy that was sitting in the front, the kids. I'm just going to say they were the teens, maybe 18 to 22 or 20, somewhere around there. They were maybe the same age or maybe a year or two older, because I think I was maybe 19 at the time or something like that. I was 79, 80, 81. I don't know. So he had been yelling at me to wake me up because my window was partially down. And I woke up and I looked over and I thought, oh man, this guy's out there going to kill him or something. And he just yelled to wake me up so he wouldn't get, killed. I said, hey, you okay? And he said, oh yeah, I yelled. He goes, yeah, I'm okay. And I thought, well, I got to get this guy. I don't know if he's going to stab him right here, but he can't do it. I'm a witness. He's too far away, and I can take his car because I looked down. I think I seen the keys in the ignition. So I don't know if this guy. He goes, can you pull over a second? Maybe I said I got to pee, and maybe he took off running, and this guy chased him down. I don't know. I was asleep. But anyway,